this is a debate as old as church history itself. Christians themselves were trying to wrestle with the idea. You see, that the New Testament doesn't come right on and say God existed in three persons. Later speculation about what the implications were led to that. Now, first of all, the question in a sense is misunderstood in terms of the controversy. It wasn't that God is three separate entities. Rather, it's that God is three separate persons or personages. Yet there is only one nature, and the way to understand this is that within the nature of the one being of God are three centers of consciousness. Let me give you a mundane example. We imagine in science fiction, or we see scenarios where persons are somehow transferred to a single body. I'm thinking of the Steve Martin movie, All of Me, where he's got the woman that suddenly possesses him, and he's wrestling with himself. He's got two minds within the one being. That's a real rough and ready idea, granted. But that's not a contradiction. It's not a self-contradiction. So, because it's logically possible to have three personages within the one being, the question is that true? And I think that the New Testament documents seem to codify that as, in fact, a reality. For example, in John chapter 1 and verse 18, it says that Jesus is God the Son in the bosom of the Father. In fact, the word Son isn't really there. It's just God. It ascribes theos to Jesus. And all throughout the Gospel of John, which is just rich in Christology in terms of understanding him as God himself. The doubting Thomas story where Jesus rises from the dead and appears to, of course, the token skeptic. And the skeptic, Thomas, says, unless I reach my hand into your side and so forth, I'm not going to believe that you're actually resurrected from the dead. Jesus grants him that, and of course chastises him in a sense for that. But Thomas's response is, my Lord and my God. And this was something that Thomas was praised for. That the New Testament understood quite well, the writers of the New Testament understood quite well what Jesus claimed to be about himself. And later church history just continued to codify that and make sense of the stories.
Not much to add to that, but I would just come alongside of it and say that we believe in one God who has manifested himself in three different ways, and that in Genesis it says that we were created in his image, not that we are gods, but that we have a three-part nature. We are body. That the most material part of me is not this. It's not the flesh and the bones. There's much more to me, to the real person who I really am, than just the outside. We make the mistake sometimes of putting all our emphasis on the outside, when it's really, there's something deep within that's much greater than that. Someone said that humans are like icebergs, that the greater substance to us is beneath the surface that you can't always see. So we are created in his image, and it says, let us make man in our image. Well, who's the us? Well, that's God in his compound unity, who has created us in his very image, and that we have a body, we have a soul, the seat of our emotions, our identity, and we have a spirit as well. And that spirit resides within us. And so I think it's a good explanation, again, of who we are, and that that's who God is, and he has created us in that very same image. So I like that analogy.